All right, if anyone out there is watching this, in this video, we are going to write basic unit tests for our project. How exciting. So a unit test is used to make sure each unit, or probably a function of our code, is working as expected. So you write a unit test and say, hey, this function which adds two numbers, if we add 2 plus 2, it should equal 4. And if it doesn't equal 4 for some reason, we'll get an error when we run our test and we'll know something's wrong. So the first thing we will need to do is pip install -u pytest. So we're going to be using pytest. It's a testing framework. You can use the built-in unit tests with Python. I think pytest is really intuitive. It's easy to figure out, which we'll see. So if you want to use pytest, you're going to do this: pip install pytest. Run that. I already have it installed, but if you don't, then it'll take a moment to install. So we got that going, and the next thing you want to do is create a setup.py. So the setup file defines how the project should be packaged or installed. We'll do code setup.py, and I am going to just copy and paste this, and it will also be in the description, so you can do the same. And we're going to save that. And the next step is we need to do pip install -e period. And what this does is just, it reads our setup.py file we just created, and it tells pip how to install our project. So we're going to run that. Cool. Going to clear the screen. So we're going to want to test the NumPy array code we made in the last video. So if we do ls, we're going to want to go into array.py. And this is the moment, as a refresher, it takes an array as input, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, finds the mean, which is 3, and then prints it. We want to turn this into a function, so pytest can call the function. So we'll do define numpy mean, and we can pass an array as an argument, turn that into a little function, replace this with array, and then we want to return the mean value. Easy peasy. And to test this, we can do x equals numpy mean of 1, 5, I don't know, 8. Then we can print x. Let's make sure that works. Nice. Looks like it works. So we got this going, and now the next thing we're going to want to do is, so typically in a project, we don't want to have our source code like array.py just kind of floating in the root of the project. So what we can do is make a new directory called source. So now we have source right there, and we can move array.py into source. This is just a good way to organize your project. We'll keep it a little cleaner. It makes sense that our code is in the source directory where the source code should be. So we can do move array.py source. This will move this array.py file into the source directory. So we run that. Make sure it's in there. Seems like it's in there. And now we can create a test file. So we're going to want to make another directory. So make directory test. This will be where our test files will go, our pytest files. So then we want to change directory into test, and nothing's in there, obviously. And we want to put something in there. So we'll do code. We'll call this, so the convention with pytest and most testing is you want to either have your file named with a prefix of test underscore, so like test underscore, or a suffix. So you do underscore test dot py, and you would name it something like I don't know, numpy test dot py, or whatever you want. For this one, I like doing test first. So we'll do test as the prefix underscore numpy dot py. This will be our testing file. So if we list, oh, we haven't saved it yet. So if we save it and list it, there it is. And this is how pytest works. So we're going to need to import our array, our numpy mean array function. And to do that, we'll do from source, that new directory we created, import array. That's what the file is called. So we'll define a function, and so the function convention is you also start it with a prefix of test. So you'll name it test underscore, and we can do numpy mean. And then we do assert. So assert basically says compare two values and make sure they're the same. And if they're not, throw an error. So if we do like assert 4 equals 2, obviously that's not true. It'll throw an error and the pytest will fail. If it's 1 equals 1, no errors thrown. So we do assert array mean of, I think that's what our function was called, and we can throw it a argument of 1, 2, 3, and the mean of this should equal 2. So we'll assert this equals 2. Great, and to run this, all we have to do is run pytest. Something went wrong. So we'll go back into our source code, array.py. It's called numpy mean. Sorry about that. So it's not mean of array, it's numpy mean. Save that, run this file, and it should have no issues. So change directory back into the root of the project, run pytest, and there it is. Test is ran, no errors are thrown. It says 1 passed in 0.05 seconds. That is good. So that means this is true. Now if we did equals 3, we will get an error like this. I cannot spell. So if we do pytest, we get the error, and it tells us what we're wrong. So it says assert 2 equals 3. So our function takes this as the input, finds the mean, which is 2. We have it set equal to 3. Obviously that's not true. So it tells us we have an assertion error because we have the assert right here. It tells us where exactly it went wrong and why. So we'll change that back to 2, run it again, and pytest will work. And that is how you set up and use pytest.